Hi there, I'm Kate Dillon, and if you're new to my channel, I want to thank you so much for being here. I have just very recently, I've been making videos for years, but have just recently started sharing about my hobby, which is quilting. And if you are returning to my channel, I just thank you so much for being here. As I mentioned, I've only posted a couple of videos about my quilting, and it has really resonated with an audience. There have been such wonderful comments. It's so encouraging. I thank you so much. So therefore, instead of just posting once a year or a couple of times a year about quilting, I have decided to make this a more regular part of my content. And as part of that, this is going to be my works in progress video. So it's really going to be kind of a combination of January and February, but I was so busy in January, I really didn't get a chance to sew very much. So this is mostly a February video. So what we see behind me is I do have this top completed. I don't have a name for it. So if you've got an idea for the name of this quilt, then feel free to drop that into the comments. And now I have to say I was inspired by something I saw on Pinterest, and I'll try to pop that up. But I decided to just kind of take it on myself and my own interpretation. And so what I did, this is just kind of fun, and I'm going to bring you into my design process as well and how I do this. But I decided I really loved these like golds and rust colors, and then of course I love gray. And I'll kind of step away so you can see some of these colors that are on here. So what I did though was I went to my fabric collection. I don't want to say stash, but yes, my stash. And I picked out like all the golds that I really liked together and all the grays. And I didn't want to just use white, so I wanted to pick out any of the items that had some type of pattern, but weren't too busy. So then what I did is I cut up a whole bunch of these 5-inch squares, or I also had some charm packs. So some of these things are like leftover from other quilts. Some of them are just new yardage that I had. Some of them were charm packs. I don't have a lot of the golds left, but you can see that I actually had a whole board full of these. And then I had a whole board. I still have several of the grays. And then what I started to do was I would take, like a gray piece and a white piece and a gray piece and a gold piece. And then I started building out the stars. And what I'm going to do with this is the top. And so now the top is completed. I'm going to make a couple of pillows too, and these will be pillows that'll be my living room. Every single one of these stars behind me, they're all different. So like the gold ones, there's not two gold ones that match, there's not two gray ones that match. But with the pillows, I thought, hey, it'd be kind of fun to do it so that they match. So I'm gonna have like the gray pillows with the gold accent there. And then it comes to the back of the quilt. And if you did happen to watch my video about my quilts for 2023, then you'll have noticed that I do, or if you're new here, one thing about the backs of my quilts, sometimes I will use like a 108-inch fabric, a wide backing that can cover the whole thing, but it really doesn't happen very often. And I don't like to just piece two pieces of fabric together. It's just not how I want to do it. I want to, because then it looks like you didn't have enough fabric, so it doesn't look intentional. So I do like to make my backs look very intentional. So give me just a second and I'm going to show you what I came up with for the back of this quilt. Okay, so here we are. This is going to be the back. So I made a few stars, and now the rest of the stars that are in the quilt itself are all kind of interlocking. They don't line up the same way. So this does end up creating a different type of a pattern. And then what I've done is just made it so that these stars are in line, and then I have the same fabric on the top and the bottom and on the sides. And I really like this fabric. And what my plan is to something I've started doing with just some of my quilts, or at least one of them. I'm not sure if I've done more than one, where I take the back, whatever the backing is, and once I have it quilted, once it's done being quilted, I cut a little bit bigger than the top, and then I fold that and I make the back into the binding instead of putting a separate binding around it. And it's kind of an interesting effect. So this way I have the same fabric that's going all the way around. All right, so that is this project, which I will look forward to you naming for me. So drop whatever name in the comments, and let's move on to the next project that I want to share with you. All right, so this is my next work in progress. This one I've called Maple Syrup. Actually, I had help on that name, but really what it is a combination of little 9 patches with little maple leaves, and then it has sashing in between. Now, I did make this top and completed this sometime in 2023, like towards the end of 2023. It might have been maybe like in December. But then it's like once it was done, I don't know, I didn't love it. I didn't love it the way that I wanted to love it, or it just was on to Christmas quilts. I'm not exactly sure what happened, because these are colors that I like, and I just had so much fun. I really love sewing like the little 2.5-inch squares. I just have so much fun sewing those together into little patches of things, whether it's 9 patches or 16 patches, things like that. So that was a lot of fun. But I decided, okay, I don't want to have all of these like quilt tops that are completed except for not having quilts that are done. And so I've decided to take this one on, and then of course that presents a design challenge. So the design challenge is, what are we going to do on the back? And what I first thought of was, after doing all of this, there was like a little 9 patch left. And I thought, one idea is I could take that little 9 patch and then just have like a stripe of this accent. There's this accent color of white here that's around the border, and that would be kind of nice. And then maybe use that border fabric for the top and the bottom. And so there was my little sketch right there of what I thought about doing. However, when I got to pulling out the fabric, there just wasn't going to be enough fabric. So then, okay, it's like back to the drawing board, and what are we going to do for the back? What can we do to make it interesting? And then I have plenty of fabric. I just don't have plenty of any one fabric in order to do that. So I think probably taking some of the inspiration from what I've just done with the stars quilt that you saw first, is I thought, let's take this idea, but let's bring it to the back and let's do it big scale. So with that, I thought, well, okay, I could make up leaves like this, and instead of using little 2.5-inch squares, what if I use 5-inch squares to make my leaves and my 9 patches? And so with that, we'll end up doing something like this, where I'll alternate the leaves and the 9 patches. It's quite possible once I lay it out that I might decide I want to use some sashing. I mean, just this one uses sashing. I don't know. I mean, I haven't made it that far. It'll be a fun little experiment to do on the design wall. And so what I've done is, there's my little leaves and my little 9 patches. I figured out how many of these that I need, and then I cut up way more fabric than what I'm ever going to need, but that's okay. It'll be fine for another project. So I'm just going to kind of do the same kind of thing and just lay these out on a design board so that they're kind of different, and make up some leaves, 9 patches, and it'll just be a really fun and interesting sewing journey. And then once that's done, we'll try to put those together and do a little bit of quilting on that. Now here on my design wall, this is my latest project that I've started. And this is a project I've been wanting to work on for a really long time, ever since I discovered it. And that is the Village quilt. It was created by Jumble, and you can find this pattern for free. I'll make sure that I link it in the description, kind of wherever you're watching this, or on the blog post, but I know that it's over on Moda's website. And with this one, what I'm really looking forward, again, I've wanted to make this ever since I saw it, but I'm also planning on adding something else to my quilting that I haven't done before. One of the other projects that I work on, or businesses, or however you want to put it, is I work on trade shows with my brother. So my brother and I are show producers. And one show that we'll be doing this year is our Women's Expo. Last year we did a Christmas show. We'll do that as well. And it's really important to us to add a charitable component to each of our shows. So I am thinking that this quilt here is going to probably turn into a quilt that I end up donating, whether it's raffled off or silent auction or something like that. So I have a feeling that's going to be the direction that I'm going to go with that. So thank you so much. Those are my projects for the month of February that I've been working on. I actually have other UFOs, unfinished objects that I still want to work on moving forward. But thank you so much for joining me in this journey. I can't even tell you how I feel and how it's really brightened my world. All of the amazing comments and encouragement that I've seen on the last couple of videos that I've posted. I'm new to posting quilting content, and I'm just so grateful for all of you who have chosen to be on this journey with me, whether you hit that subscribe button or liked my video or commented. Thank you so very much, and I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Let me know in the comments any suggestions you have. I'm happy to listen. See you soon.